To begin this Pokéball tutorial, I'm using a silicone mat and it's placed upon a baking sheet so I can transport it without damaging the chocolate that's going to be in the center. Now I do recommend getting brushes that you can color code, that you only use for chocolate. And it just makes it easier. You don't have to, because you don't want to add water to clean these brushes not unless you're absolutely finished, because water will seize the chocolate. So keep these brushes free from any water. Now I've melted candy melts into a plastic bowl. It's very important to me. If I were to go and melt it into a glass bowl, it's going to get way too hot. I normally use a jar, but I don't want to add anything to this candy melts because I don't want to add oils or any crystals, because I want to be able to put this in the freezer when I'm done. So we're going to begin painting. And you're going to go, and it's all right to basically move the mat at this point. You want to go all the way to the top, and it's going to be a really thin layer. Making sure you get all the edges. And you're just going to take it around. Since the candy melts are wet at this period, then you can move it around a bit. You just want to make sure that you're getting all around the edges. And the lighter the coat, the faster it dries in between. Putting on little silicone mode. So you may think, oh, I'm just going to lather this on and so I don't have to worry about it. But it's going to take a long time to dry, and then you're going to miss spaces. And it's not going to be a stable ball when you get through. Just make sure you're checking it. And it's all around the top of the edge. Because at this point, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be uniform in strokes. Now I have just gone on and put a big glob in the center, and well, let's face it, I had to do them all over again. So patience is the key. For the balls, you can actually tell when it's getting thick enough because you won't be able to see through the candy melts. In fact, won't be opaque, it'll be solid. And this is what you're looking for. Now I'm going to finish painting these balls. And it's not going to be just one layer, it's going to be multi-layers. The half spheres have been into the fridge for about 5 minutes. And now we're going to take them out. But you really want to just stretch the silicone mat, kind of loosen around the edges because it will break. You want to be careful. Just kind of get it where the ball can come out without breaking all that hard work. Now, to get the half sphere out, you're just going to push from the bottom. And voila. Set it down. Now you want to make sure that you're not putting your fingers on this because all the fingerprints will show up. Just need to be really careful. Once the sides are away from the silicone mat, take it around. Here. Up. Little spheres. One more. Now we have some spheres. We're going to let these get back to room temperature, and I want to show you one thing. When the balls come out of the mold, there's going to be a little bit raggedy edges. What you want to do is just take your grater, carefully make it level. Make sure you put it on like a piece of parchment paper or something because it does get messy. Just carefully do it. Get a perfectly flat edge. Again, I love this grater. If you watch my other video when I'm using it, it's just so cool to have. You don't want to press too hard because this is fragile. And just continue to get the edges perfect. You're going to take a piece of Malin chocolate or fondant. I prefer Malin chocolate because it tastes better. But you're more than welcome to use fondant if you want. I'm going to add a little bit of cornstarch to the table and press it down. And I'm going to use my guides because I need this to be pretty wide because it's going to have an inset inside the red and the white ball. So we're going to roll this out. And you really need to do this first because this needs to dry and the edges need to be really sharp. Let's see. Let's make sure our boards are lined up. And again, you want to put all your weight on the underneath boards. We're going to take the orange circle cutter take your finger and just kind of go around the edge because you really want this to be sharp. Gently press it out and put it on a piece of parchment paper and let it dry a little bit. You can do these the night before. The stiffer they are, the better it's going to be. It'll still taste good. I'm notorious for looking at ordinary things and figuring out how I can use it. But you can also just cradle it in a paper towel. And the reason why you're doing this is you don't want to mess with the white too much because it will get stained. So we're going to put it on the noodle, but you can use a paper towel. For the filling, you really want to have a food safe, something that's going to stay good for a couple hours or more. And it's really best for you if you're planning for a big party where it's going to sit out for 2, 3, 4 hours until everyone gets in and starts consuming the cupcake, that it's food safe. So check out your cottage laws in your state for recipes. And what I've done is I have a recipe, and it's really easy to modify it. And I'm in love with Lauren Kitchen's buttercream. And all I've done is I've taken her recipe and I've added melted chocolate that I've cooled to get the taste that I want. So it's really easy. All right, so we're going to fill the bottom part with this delectable cream. And you really want it to go in the bottom where that circular part is. And we're going to take either a cupcake, or you can bake it in the same silicone mold. It's just that when you get through with baking it and you wash it, put a little bit of vinegar to make sure you get all the oil off the mold. And we're going to cut this into half because we know it's going to be too big to fit into the mold. So it's going to have a little bit of trimming. Let's see. I'm going to press it gently down. Try and not. Make sure you use your little napkin. So I just did that. And press it down into it. Gently, gently, gently. You can see there's a little spots there. You can fill those in if you want. Just don't touch that white piece. And we're going to add just a dab of the buttercream on top. And what this is just going to seal the piece that we have cut to go in the center. Keep your hands clean. And we're going to press this right on top. Now you can clean this a little bit after you get through, but the less you do, the better it's going to be for you. And this is going to go down into the cupcake a little bit. It's going to be inserted in. And we're going to set this aside. So now you have the bottom for your Pokéball. Just round off. Doesn't have to be perfect, but just round it off so it's going to fit into the mold. Right. And you're going to take the red and put it on your noodle or hold it in your hand and do the exact same thing. Squirt the icing into the mold. And you want to get a pretty generous amount of icing in there because when you put the cake on top, it's going to push it into the sides. And then you want to trim off the cupcake so it'll fit inside there. Just want to keep it there. Make sure it's going to have a good fit. And then if you use a dense recipe, which I will have a link to this recipe on my blog for you, because you don't want it to be spongy, you want it to be where it's really moist, or dense, I should say. And you're going to push this down into the cupcake, to the little half sphere. Make sure you don't touch it. And you can, if it's a little bit high, this is the time you can trim it. But you want to keep your hands clean, especially if you're using chocolate. And you want to push it down a little bit to make sure the icing goes all on top of that cupcake. And we're going to take this Just gonna add a little bit here because it's got to stick to the other one. I'm gonna take it and just kind of push it around. Gotta make sure it goes around. And now the tricky part comes. Make sure your hands are clean. I'm going to hold this one, and then we're going to put it on top and set it down. Press it down, because that will end up helping the icing to flow around the Pokeball. Now let's see, get a clean rag. That's clean. And we have a Pokeball. Now the little spots that you have here, those are clean off. So let's just put this back. Not touch it too much. When I come back, I'll show you how to make the center. To make the center of the Pokeball, you're going to use a piping tip and hot water. You're going to get the end of the tip warm and wipe it off. The paper towel, line it up, and go back and forth. Make sure that you're using even pressure on the bottom and the top. Just keep going around. Make it top. And then boom, out comes the center. Take it out. Just take out those pieces. Press it in. Now you have the center of the Pokeball, which didn't work out very well because, well, I was looking the wrong way. And now you have the center of the Pokeball. Take a piece of black almond chocolate, using the same end of the piping tip. Take something, knock it out, and you're going to press it into the same area that you took out. Make sure it goes all the way in. Press it out. Okay. Get a white piece of almond chocolate, press it down with a small plunger cutter. I'm going to put it right in the center of the ball. And now you have a center for the Pokeball. It's a little off center because I was trying to do this tutorial, but hey, give me a break. When I come back, I'm going to show you how to store this Pokeball for your party. The most important thing to remember in storing your Pokeball is to allow no condensation. To store this Pokeball, I'm using a candy apple wrapper. It's the perfect size. There are two ways you can do this. I use a film sealer, which automatically seals the little wrapper, or you can use a tie. Just take the Pokéball, place it into the wrapper, being very careful not to move it around. Set it bottom side up. Right. Take the end and either seal it with a film sealer or just take a tie and wrap it tightly around. Make sure it's real tight. Just double wrap it around and again. Make sure it's sealed. Now you can either put the Pokéball in the fridge or you can do what I'm doing, put it in the freezer. Just make sure that you have a container where the lid snaps and closes. I line the container with bubble wrap. This keeps the Pokéball from moving around. Place it into the container. I'm going to close the lid, snap it shut. If you have a container that doesn't seal very well, just wrap the whole container in saran wrap. The night before the party, I'm going to be taking these Pokeballs out of the freezer. I'll place them into the fridge. The day of the party, about an hour before it starts, I'll take the container out of the fridge and place it onto the countertop. Never during this whole procedure do I ever open the lid because you do not want condensation getting inside the box. When it's time for the party, it's time to open the lid. Take them out of their wrappers and display your Pokeballs. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you did, subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.